Arcadia Sun. The
To understand the energy that motivates you, the negative and positive influences of these signs, you will begin the first steps on the journey to know thyself. This is what astrology can teach us. Perfect. Hello, beautiful people. It's the goddess here, and today we're back with the astrology series. So in this video, I'm going to discuss the personal planets, okay, also known as the inner planets. These planets orbit closest to the Earth, therefore closest to our physical being. Okay, so I'm going to get into Mercury. I'm going to give a phrase for each of these two planets just to kind of help you remember what that planet is all about, right? Mercury, planet of the mind. The phrase for Mercury is how I think. The mind, the messenger, Hermes, rules over the signs of intellect, Gemini and Virgo, governs the third house, thoughts and communication, and the sixth house, details and routine. Intellectual energy, mental awareness, mental activity, perception, memory, speaking, and writing directs the way we communicate our thoughts and feelings, the way you see, hear, and understand and process information, the way you learn, the way you think. This is what Mercury is all about, right? It rules the major area of the nervous system and the ability to communicate to minor areas like handwriting. Therefore, controls the functions of the nerves, also the arms, hands, and fingers. Mercury also rules the voice. When Mercury is prominent in a person's horoscope or Mercury has strong influences in their chart, that person is likely to be very intelligent, are great public speakers, have good memory, a talent for debate, a talent for singing, writing, poetry, acting. The negative side of Mercury's influence produces a tendency to be critical, sarcastic, argumentative. Just some examples of Mercury's negative influence, right? To understand your intellectual power, you must study the position and influence of Mercury in your natal chart. The sign that your Mercury is in, or the influence that it's under, is a natural energy pattern or function of your mental nature. The house placement or position of Mercury in your chart, the house that Mercury is in your chart, indicates where your head is at, what you think about most, where you're developing mental awareness, mental skills, the area where you're being guided to release your mental energy. Mercury is exalted in Aquarius. So exalted basically means like most powerful. I'll do a separate video on the planets and what signs exalt them, right? But Mercury is exalted in Aquarius. For example, my Mercury is in Aquarius. I'm basically a genius. No, but yeah. So Aquarius is all-knowing, inquisitive, eccentric, intellectually stimulated by science, philosophy, metaphysics, esoteric knowledge, the occult, the future. Aquarius is a sign of the truth seeker, which is how my mind works. I am someone who, like, if I can sit and talk to you about like dark matter and black holes and quantum physics and plasma, and when you die you turn into a gamma ray and blast through the ionosphere, like if I can talk to you about that stuff, we're gonna automatically be best friends. And I've always been like weird like that. I've always been interested in science and just stuff that most people kind of seem weird, and I never really knew why. It just was how I was growing up, and I've been called weird all the time by my siblings and my peers. And now that I have my natal chart, I know exactly why. It's my Mercury in Aquarius. Another example, Mercury in Cancer. If you have your Mercury in the sign of Cancer, you tend to be sensitive to what others think, especially sensitive to what others think about you. You have a powerful imagination, great memory, and oddly enough tend to have like phobias, little irrational phobias. So like example of like Mercury in your chart. So if you have like Mercury in your first house of Aries of self, you are mentally alert. You need intellectual challenges. You crave these things. Some interesting facts about Mercury. Mercury is the second smallest planet in our solar system and the closest to the sun. Mercury is associated with speed and agility. The god Mercury had wings on his feet, so it was very swift. The planet moves very swiftly, orbits the sun in 88 days, as opposed to Earth's 365-day orbit. Mercury never goes more than 28 degrees from the sun, meaning it travels very close to the sun. And with that, your Mercury will always be either the same as your sun sign, or it will be the sign before or after or following your sun sign, right? Like I'm Capricorn sun, and then my Mercury's in Aquarius, and that's the sign that follows, right? So some things to consider when evaluating how Mercury expresses itself in your personality. Your intellect. Are you a practical or more logical thinker? Are you good at math or English or science? Do you conversate with strangers easily, or do you only open up with friends and family? Do you enjoy speaking in front of groups, large groups, or is like public speaking your worst nightmare? You know, your greatest fear? You'll begin to understand why when revealing the placement and sign of your Mercury in your chart. So the final thought that I will leave you with in regard to Mercury is that where your head is at, your mind, Mercury, is often controlling you more than what your sun sign is. Well, next planet is Venus, the planet of love and pleasure. And the phrase for Venus is how I view love and relationships. Venus in Greek mythology, okay, is the goddess of love and beauty. In ancient Egyptian mythology, she's the goddess Samiramin. In Assyrian, she's the goddess Ishtar. And I actually talked about the goddess Ishtar in my Easter video. I'm gonna create a playlist for this astrology series, and I'll put that Easter video in there if you wanna just check that out. I go into the details of goddess Ishtar and the symbolism and the meaning, okay, and the influence of that goddess, which is Venus. The goddess Venus was said to be very beautiful, not just physically, but energy. You know, we have to remember the forethought that I gave you, or the quote from Nikola Tesla. You want to think in terms of energy. So the goddess Venus was very beautiful. You know, her energy was very attractive, just gorgeous, right? The goddess Venus is said to have taught the art of seduction to mortal women. So Venus rules over the yin and yang, balance, love signs of Taurus and Libra. Governs the second house, money and self-worth, and also the seventh house of partnership. So love, romance, desire, partnership, balance, harmony, powers of attraction, receiving, which is feminine, relationship, including your relationship to money or finance relationship. Also your allure and seduction, appeal, you know, the kind of sex appeal that you possess, who you are attracted to, what makes others attracted to you. It rules over your capacity to express affection and enjoy beauty or enjoy beautiful things. Venus receives by sending out energy and attracting its wants and desires. Opposite of Mars, and I'll explain that. When Venus is prominent in someone's horoscope, you know, Venus has a very strong influence in their natal chart. That person is like to be a very pleasant companion, you know, very easy to get along with, good at design, beauty, creativity, aesthetics, style, possess a knack for how to dress and present themselves appealingly. We exist in a world of polarity. So the negative side of Venus's influence is that it can cause a person to put more emphasis, focus, you know, more importance on vanity, pleasure, and luxury than on things like self-discipline and will. So to understand your love power, you must study the position and influence of Venus in your natal chart. So the sign that your Venus is in will be the natural primary energy pattern with which Venus functions. The sign that your Venus is in will tell what kind of love you are. You know, your love style, how you express affection, and how you receive affection and things. The house planet or position of Venus in your natal chart indicates where you are being guided to bring harmony, where you're being guided to release your love energy, the area you are more open to receive, or where you should be open to receive people, connections, and experiences that will give you growth and development in that area of the chart area of your life. Venus is a helper, so in any house, Venus provides loving support to help you through what you're experiencing or growing through, or whatever that energy may be about. Venus is exalted in Pisces, right? Its greatest power is in Pisces, and you see the pure use of this energy. Pisces is selfless. Pisces is very loving, so that makes perfect sense. So, like example, my Venus is in Sagittarius. I am a very open-minded, free-spirited lover. I need excitement. I get bored very quick. It's difficult. Y'all don't know me. Look, I'm telling all my business. I'm not gonna tell y'all what houses my planet's in, but I'm using myself as an example. Let me think. Okay, so Venus in the sign of Aries are the type, who are bold in love, who will fight for their love, they'll make the first move, because Aries is fire, Aries is action, like a man who has Venus in Aries, like women who are feisty and, that whole thing. So Venus in the first house, for example, you will tend to be charming. People will be attracted to you. Be a people person, popular. Always, make a great first expression, a strong first impression. If you have Venus in your fourth house, you will tend to have like a very beautiful, peaceful home, comfortable. Some interesting facts about Venus. Venus is the second planet from the sun. Venus is often referred to as Earth's sister because Venus is very similar in size, mass, and density. Also because no other planet comes as close to Earth as Venus does. 225 days to orbit the sun. Some things to consider when evaluating how Venus expresses itself in your personality are: how or in what way do you act on your needs, wants, and desires? What role do people and money play in your life? What kind of lovers do you attract? Are you flirtatious? Are you modest? Are you bold? Do you find happiness in love affairs, or do you tend to be disappointed in love? Where do your creative talents lie? What do you tend to spend the most money on? You begin to understand why when revealing the placement and sign of Venus in your natal chart. And the final thought that I will leave you with in regards to Venus is that love, sexual attraction, romance, passion, desire are the very first phases that lead to reproduction, creation. Inevitably, we are highly driven by desire. Desire exists to motivate us to reach our greatest potential. But if you are not mindful, desire can easily lead to destruction. Okay. Mars, the planet of physical energy, the fiery planet, because if you actually look at Mars, it looks like it's on fire. So the phrase for Mars is how I move. Mars is male, it's masculine, it's the warrior, Roman god of war, whose name means bright and burning. Like Mars, the planet, it's bright, looks like it's burning on fire. Okay, he was said to be aggressive and quarrelsome, or he liked to fight. He was about that life. He was wittish. Look, rules over Aries, the sign of new beginnings, and governs the first house of self. So fire, action, ambition, aggression, boldness, fearlessness, courage, strength, assertion, your assertive nature, force, desire, physical endurance, sex drive. And like I mentioned, in Venus is the opposite of Mars, or Mars is the opposite of Venus, and it's the masculine. You know, Venus is the feminine, you know, sexuality, and then Mars is the masculine, the sex drive. Okay, the yin and yang, right? Masculine and feminine. Mars acts, right? And Venus receives, okay? Governs the sex organs and sex impulses. The energy that spurs you into action, the ability to turn ideas into action. This is, you know, Mars. When Mars is prominent in someone's chart, they are energetic. You know, they have that go-getter spirit, take initiative, strong leader personality, and tend to be very resourceful. The negative side of Mars influence is impulsiveness, quick-tempered, impatient, controlling, even reckless. Mars also brings conflict, tension, violence, and even sudden illness or injury. To understand your assertive nature, you must study the position and influence of Mars in your birth chart. The sign that your Mars is in is a primary natural energy pattern of your assertive nature, the way you maneuver through life, okay? The way that you pursue things in your life, your career, you know, love, or what have you, what you do and how you get it done. The house planet of Mars in your natal chart indicates what ignites your passions, your ambitions, and where you're being guided to release and focus the assertive nature, aggressive energy, in what area of life you should take action. Mars is exalted in Capricorn, where it is the most effective use of the energy. Mars is fire and Capricorn is earth, it's calm, it's collective, which creates like this great balance. And Capricorn is all about goals and ambition and status. And when you mix that Aries fire of go-getting, you achieve like all these goals and just high statue. So example, like a Mars in Aries, like me, which is its natural ruler. So Mars in its natural home, you will possess qualities of vitality and brilliance and force and energy and self-confidence and just this honest, courageous, like, you know, energy and a will to win. An example of Mars in the first house of Aries. So if you have Mars in the first house of Aries of self, you are impulsive, but independent. You approach new things with confidence. And then like Mars in the 8th house of death and regeneration, you have a passion for life and like a high sex drive because, you know, Scorpio rules the 8th house. Okay, so some interesting facts about Mars is the fourth planet from the sun takes 687 days to orbit around the sun as opposed to Earth's 365. So it's quite a bit slower than Earth. Some things to consider when evaluating how Mars expresses itself in your personality are you passive or aggressive in your actions? What kind of physical endurance do you possess? Are your intimate relationships passionate or conflicted? How do you deal with conflict and confrontation? Do you have a temper? Do you lose your temper easily? Do you withdraw or take a moment, take a breath and then explode? You know, do you enjoy competition or do you see no need for competition? So you'll begin to understand why when revealing the placement and sign of Mars in your natal chart. So the final thought that I will leave you with in regards to Mars is that unleashed energy, force, is neither positive or negative. It's neither good or bad. It's up to you to use it constructively or destructively. So that's it, guys. Thanks for watching. Remember to like this video, comment, share. And if you have not already, remember to hit that red button. And until next week, mwah, mwah, mwah. Love you. Bye.